Josh, how is like train with these great champs like Raya, like Cody? What is built?
Yeah, no, it's awesome, man. It is truly amazing. Like, I've been there since kind of the beginning of all this, and so I've seen uh, everyone from around the world, big superstars that come to train at our gym, to cross train, or if there's a fight in town, they come and train. Also, we've had just all the champions, all the number one contenders, all the guys from so long ago. Like, I was always, when I was an amateur, even 1-0 as a pro, 2-0 as a pro, I was always the main training partner for, Chad Mendez when he was fighting Aldo. When, even when TJ was around, like, I was, training partner of TJ, like Joseph was around, I would emulate people for Uriah, for Cody, like Danny Castillo, literally everyone on the team. And so, it definitely evolves my game and brings my game up, because I'm going with these guys, and they're at the highest level fighting the best people in the world to be number one, and I'm like 1-0, 2-0 as a pro, but they want me to be their main training partner because I can emulate a lot of different styles and do things. So it definitely built up my confidence, and yeah, just help me grow as a fighter, definitely, and learn a ton from all these great fighters.
And what does Joey Rodriguez and Persian Fury represent in your life?
Yeah, no, Joey is man, yeah, I feel like he's evolved my game so much. And like, I went out to look for a striking coach. I feel like my style's more, I'm a wrestler. I wrestled all growing up. I wrestled in college. But I feel like I've always loved to box, and I found Joey, and we just connected really well together. And just like the chemistry we have is it's great. He's my coach, my friend. I'd do anything for him, and he would do the same for me. But yeah, I give him a lot of credit to yeah, just my striking. I feel like I still haven't even got to showcase a lot of it. You know what I mean? Like, people see it. Like, I'll go spar pro boxers all the time, and their coaches think I'm just a boxer, but he's like, no, he's a wrestler, and he just got into boxing 5-6 years ago. But yeah, so that was kind of the game plan. Like, when I only wanted to fight in the UFC. I didn't want to fight in anything else, and so we were trying to get in the UFC. I almost got on the Ultimate Fighter. I almost did so many different things, and I just never got in. So we were gonna transition into just boxing, and I was gonna go pro as a boxer and just pursue that, because there's some money involved in that. And then Dustin, like you're saying, yeah, Dustin Akabari, he's awesome, man. He's been around since the team began, and he's helped my game a ton, my jiu-jitsu game, and I've had so many awesome jiu-jitsu coaches. It's like Dustin Akabari. We've had Fabio Prado, Felipe Barigio, Chris Holdsworth, all these jiu-jitsu coaches that are just so good. And yeah, and I feel like my jiu-jitsu game is good too. I haven't got to showcase that either. But if you look at
No,
any of
we always see you KO people.
it's exciting, right? But even you look at my regional fights, and you'll see I get hit, I take them down, ground and pound. I was getting submissions, TKOs on the ground. I've only done one like jiu-jitsu tournament, and that was like the Nogi World Championships, and
Yes.
I won that and got gold in that, and no one scored a point on me, and I subbed the guy in the finals too. So it's like I have a decent jiu-jitsu game. I just one of these days I'll get to show it to you guys in the world.
Vimos que se recibió en una especialización de psicología, entonces lo que quiero preguntarle yo es si esto le sirve a él en este deporte, cuando una derrota es dura o para prepararse, y si le gustaría dedicarse en un futuro a la psicología deportiva en este deporte.
Yeah, possibly. A lot of people. So I went to Menlo College, and I got my bachelor's degree in psychology. And there's only two things I ever wanted to do in my life, and this is when I was a little kid, and that was like be a professional athlete. And at the time, I wasn't thinking about fighting. I was thinking about NFL, football, basketball. But like I always say, I got older. I stopped growing, so I knew those were out of the question. Or I wanted to be a police officer. So honestly, I went to school, and I thought that psychology degree would transfer over really well and being a police officer. But now I'm not using my degree at all. I just have student loans. But yeah, the fight game, I think it does help a lot. You know, I feel like my mentality is like one of my strongest attributes, and I can pick up on like just certain little things. I feel like I just see people's like tendencies and like just see how their movement and when they're saying things. And I don't know, I feel like I do kind of pick up on certain things that I don't know. I feel like I can see when they say things or do things when they're nervous, or like even I fought one opponent one time, and we weighed in and we had to leave our stuff in the back. Okay. And this is in the UFC. We had to leave our stuff in the back. We went and weighed in, and we came back, and he like, you know, like touched me on the back and just said, "Oh, excuse me. I gotta," just certain things like to get his clothes, you know. It's just certain things. I was just like, oh, it's kind of odd, even though like I knew he's being nice, but I'm like, I would never do that. I would just grab my thing, or I just see how people just certain tendencies, and I try to pick up on, and I work with a mind coach, and he trains a lot of people that are in law enforcement, people that are in like special forces, because they're going through some, you know, crazy times when they're on missions and certain things, and a few fighters. And I've worked with him for several years, and he saw something in me that he reached out to me and asked if we wanted to work. And this was, I don't know, four years ago or so. And he's awesome. And yeah, so maybe possibly, you know, I could see myself doing something like that. I haven't really thought about it, but yeah, it would be interesting, you know.
Yeah.
And how I'm sorry, how did you decide it? How did you decide to become a fighter?
Man, I've always been a fan of this. So it's like, for one, I've always been an athlete since I was a little kid. You know, I may not look like it, but I can play every single sport. Like, and I feel like I'm really good at a lot of things. I grew up playing, you know, baseball, football, like everything, wrestling, and I was really athletic. But then when the UFC was, you know, maybe back in 1999, I was watching the UFC on pay-per-view with one of my good friends before anyone really knew about it. I was in high school, and before the Ultimate Fighter, before it was mainstream, I was watching it. You know, I was just like, oh, this is really entertaining. It's cool. I was like, I could do this. And then I think the whole thing was, I always had in the back of my mind, I wanted to do it, but I wasn't sure. And then I also said like, oh, I could beat these guys. You know, just being a stupid fan, like you guys probably see a lot of people. I was like, oh, I could beat these guys. But then I was like, they would have killed me if I got in there at the time, you know. But yeah, and then I think as I just got older and I started wrestling at a junior college, and then Uriah came in he actually came into my junior college during a wrestling meet, and he was passing out flyers about opening an MMA gym. And by this time, the Ultimate Fighter was already on, and so I was really more into it. And then that's kind of what sparked it. You know, I don't know if I'd be fighting if he didn't open that gym in Sacramento. I don't know if I would have just traveled somewhere to pursue this. So I'm truly grateful for that. Because who knows if I'd even be here. I don't think I would be fighting if that was the case. So once I started doing that, that's the whole reason why I went down to Menlo College after I was training there in 2006 for about a year. I was like, okay, and I got all these offers on like the East Coast, the Midwest. I didn't want to go anywhere far. I wanted to stay here local. So it was like, you know, 2 hours from me, and I ended up. I was like, I'll get my degree in case fighting doesn't work out for me, but also I'll get better at wrestling because I knew I wanted to get right back to this, and it would propel my game too. You know, I'd get better at wrestling, which would, you know, transition into fighting, and that's kind of how that all started. And then I came right back and I did 2 amateur fights. I wasn't even going to do an amateur fight. I was just going to go pro, but they're like, oh, let's just get the nerves out and see how you feel. And so I did 2 amateur fights and then just went pro and just tried to just fight as consistent and as much as possible, as long as I was healthy. And yeah, and then finally got to the UFC. But for me, it was the UFC or nothing. I didn't want to fight in other organizations. I wanted to fight on the biggest stage in the world. I feel like the highest platform. But also, since I got into it so late, I also, before I started telling people, no one knew about this, is I I said, if I lose any of these fights, I was done. Because my first amateur fight, I think I was like 26. You know, I was 26 years old, and so if I lost my first amateur fight or second one, I would have quit fighting. As I was a pro, I was winning fights. If I lost any of those fights, as I got to probably about 3-4-0, because I was trying to get on the Ultimate Fighter a few times, I was trying to do other things. I was getting older, and my wife's been here with me the whole time. We've been struggling and sacrificing everything for me to pursue this dream. And then here I'm like 29, 30 years old, and I'm still, you know, living in my best friend's room, or, you know, we're staying at my mom's house. I felt bad. So I was like, if I lose any of these fights, I'm done. I'm going to get a regular job or become a police officer or something like that, you know? And then she's actually the one that told me, because I was so fed up with not getting into the UFC. I was 30. I had just beat Christos Giagos, a former UFC vet, defending my title. I couldn't fight anyone. And then Dana White, and at the time it was Joe Silva, he kept saying, just win one more fight, win one more fight. And I would just win all these fights. And they kept saying that. So I was like, man, I'm done with this. And she's like, just give it till the end of the year. If you don't get in, then go get a job. And then I got in. So I was like halfway through the year. So I was stoked about that, because if she wouldn't have said that, or had someone else that was, you know, not as big of a supporter as she is, who knows? I probably would have hung it up, and I would have been 9-0 as a pro, and never made it. But then I would always regret it. You know, I'd be sitting there like, I could have done this, been one of those guys, or,
sure.
you know. So I'm happy how everything's played out, even though I haven't had an easy road. You know, some people are handed things, and they build people up, and you guys can see it, I'm sure. But yeah, they give me a tough road, but I wouldn't want it any other way.
Gracias por visitar Somos MMA en YouTube. No olvides suscribirte a nuestro canal y activar las notificaciones para seguir disfrutando de nuestro contenido.